chit-chatting here a little bit. Welcome back. Ever wonder how much the African culture has influenced the Western world? Well, our next guest, a Bay Area-based musician, he's a scholar, he's a professor, and a jazz club owner here in the city. Well, he wrote a book on just how modern jazz blues music is motivated by its African roots. Please welcome the author, From Timbuktu to the Mississippi Delta, How West African Standards of Aesthetics Shape the Musics of the Delta Blues. Pascal Bokar Chiam?
Very good.
How did I do? Pretty well?
You did very well.
Well, you know, I think a lot of us here in the States, growing up, you think of jazz, you think of Louis Armstrong, you think of New Orleans, you think it all kind of grew there. But you took it a little bit further because its roots really are based in Africa, but for some reason, everyone thinks it's the Deep South.
Well, it is the Deep South when it comes to the United States, but I think one of the things that's very important to remember is that between the 16th century and the 19th century, we brought over approximately 12 million West Africans. And when you bring people over for that period of time, you're bringing them with their standards of aesthetics, their forms of expression in music, in religion, in beliefs, in food, and so forth and so on. And so when you look at the merging and the making of American music, which crystallizes into this tremendous art form, which we call jazz, which is going to make the United States a cultural superpower all over the world, it's important to realize that its architecture came from somewhere, and that it took some time to get there. And the standards of aesthetics of Africa were the foundation of American music. Primarily because in the South, you know, in certain counties, Africans are the majority, in some places 4-to-1.
Sure.
So great concentration, and then this music evolves over time.
You call it cultural amnesia. How the scholars kind of forgot when they were writing the history books about where this music came. And that was, I mean, here's your book right here. That was why you wrote this, right? To kind of set the record straight, so to speak?
Yeah, and I think it's not so much to set the record straight, because, you know, what's interesting is that people know about it. I mean, when you go to Oxford University in England, or when you go to Harvard, they have all these books about West Africa and its culture and its empires between the 16th century and the 19th century. But somehow they never applied these standards of aesthetics and what they brought through the slave trade. And you know, the slave trade is sort of a difficult period of our history here in the United States. So academia has sort of an amnesia when it comes to that. But what's very important, and certainly for us in education, is to, especially at a time where musically we're hearing things, you know, in the media that that can be sometimes uncomfortable with respect to the quality of the music, is for the young people to remember that the music of Armstrong, the music of Ellington, the music of Fletcher Henderson, the music of Benny Goodman, through jazz, that jazz created standards of aesthetics that turned this nation literally into a superpower. You go to Tokyo, they have jazz festival. You go to Singapore, they have jazz festival. You go to Turkey, a friend of mine just came back, they have jazz festivals. And when you look at all of that, you realize how important this community coming from West Africa, because 99%, really, 99% of African Americans come out of the West. They don't come out of the South, they don't come out of the East, they don't come out of the North, they come out of the West. And the cultural center for West Africa is Timbuktu, you see? And so the most American and the oldest American instrument is a banjo.
Wow.
But the banjo is an instrument from Mali. It's called the ngoni. And it came via West Africa. And what's very interesting is that when you listen to bluegrass music, you wouldn't have bluegrass music if you didn't have a banjo.
No way. That's the whole sound.
That's right. But there's no banjo in Ireland. There's no banjo in Scotland. They found it here. Because these African American populations who lived on the banks of the Tennessee River played that instrument.
You know, we're out of time. I can tell you're a teacher because I'm riveted, but your kids are very lucky to have you, and best of luck with your nightclub and your book as well.
Thank you very much.
Okay. For more African-based jazz from Pascal, visit Savannah Jazz Club in the Mission District, or check out his CD of the same name. And to purchase his book or to keep up with Pascal, visit PascalBokarChiam.com. That's our show, folks. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you again next time right here on Bay Sunday.